Hi guys, it's Kian. So today I'm back with another ranking video. Today we're going to be ranking Switch dolls. So Switch is a company that I personally really like, and just like the previous ranking video which I did, which was for the old CP Delf, I also really like Switch overall as a company and just like a lot of the dolls in general. So I thought it would be fun to do this. There are quite a number of sculpts that they have released, and I decided to make this list mainly using the sculpts that are released under Switch, although there is one which is released under Sonyeongi, which is their original name. The number of sculpts here today, there are 61 or 62 of them. There are 61 sculpts today, so I did this listing of the 61 dolls using the sculpts listed on Den of Angels wiki page. There were some sculpts missing which I remembered just because I followed Switch releases quite often, so I added back in Ryun and Sunhong while checking out the DOA pages because they were missing for some reason, but I'm not going to comb through Switch's extensive list of dolls and various releases just to get them in the exact order. So if I do miss out any sculpts, just let me know, but unfortunately they will not be in today's ranking video. So I went through the list. I removed duplicates, meaning like if it's the same head but different release, I didn't include them, and I only listed the SD sculpts. Switch does have some MSDs, 41cm girls I think, and then there was also like the Switch Baby I think, which was a USD size dolls. I didn't include those. I just wanted to list the SD and above heads. So these are listed mostly in the order that they are released in, or they are first released in. There was actually two head sculpts that were listed under Sonyeongi that was not under Switch, which were Ryun and Yujin. Ryun, not the Ryun one, but the original Ryun. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an official picture of him, so I didn't include Ryun. But I do have Yujin because he was re-released in 2020 or 2021, I think. So let's start with Yujin. So Yujin, I think he goes into D just because I don't know much about him. I remember I chose a side profile picture of him because I didn't find his front profile that, front facial features that exciting. I'm gonna go quite quickly through them, if not we'll be here for really long because there's like 61 dolls. Next we have Milhwa. Milhwa is, I think, one of the first dolls that I know officially came from SNG back when they were releasing dolls with 4D, or they were sold internationally through the 4D page. So I remember Milhwa and I remember Hahwa actually because they're basically the same sculpt, just that Milhwa is the open-eyed one and Hahwa is the dreaming-eyed one. I remember not thinking particularly much of Milhwa, but I do think that the promo pics for him are really nice, and I can kind of see his appeal. So he has nice lips. I would put him into C. Next we have Ajeong. I honestly don't quite like Ajeong's nose. I guess he looks like a sweet young boy. I think the later versions of Ajeong, the Ajeong C, Ajeong Closer, looks much better. So I'm gonna put Ajeong in D along with Yujin. Shino. I remember not really liking Shino when I first saw him because his eyes are kind of big. And I think till this day I kind of maintain that he is a bit too boyish for my taste. Even though I suppose in this picture he looks a bit older looking than Ajeong. But I just don't particularly fancy this look. I want to put him in E, but then like I feel like I also need to move Ajeong to E if I do it. Okay, I'm gonna move Ajeong to E. Okay, Hahwa. I like Hahwa actually more than I like Milhwa. There's something about him looking kind of like dreamy that I personally find very appealing, and this particular photo of him is really nice as well. I think it's gonna go into B just because at this point, like given my current taste, I guess he won't really have a... I don't particularly find him... I still find him appealing, I just wouldn't want to own him because he's kind of young looking, which is a bit funny because some of my dolls are really young looking as well, but I guess since I already have that in my crew, nowadays when I look for dolls, I try to look for like interesting sculpts that have vibes that I don't currently have, which is why I really like Vi, my dear boy Hobin, because he has a smirk and that is something that I haven't owned in a doll. Huisa, the original one, again has that typical a bit more old school doll vibe with chubbier cheeks, kind of similar to Shino and Ajeong. I think I've seen Huisa as a girl. He might have actually been officially released as a girl as well. I'm not a fan of him. I think I just don't like the young chubby chick boy look. I do believe there's an exception, which is Rusi, but we haven't gotten to that, so I am putting Huisa in E tier. Okay, Vian is... he's still chubby chick, but I suppose he has dreaming eyes, so I like that a bit better. He's going to D. I do have something about like dreaming eye sculpts. I think the fact that my first doll is a dreaming eye sculpt kind of says that is my preference. So yeah, Javi. Honestly, I don't feel anything about Javi. I just think he's kind of generic looking. But I do really want his wig in this promo pics. Because it's grey and has blue tips and it reminds me of Wano's hair from Fighter, and there was another era where he had it. Was it Alligator? I just like the wig, but I'm sorry, I don't like this sculpt that much. I just don't like him looking so like big-eyed and boyish. Okay, but I guess there is a certain boyish vibe that I like. So now we're moving on to Uhui and Hyul. So I think there was a doll owner in Singapore who owned both Uhui and Hyul, or maybe just Hyul. I can't remember which. I know she definitely had a Hyul. I'm going to put a picture if I can find it, but I remember really, really liking her doll. And this was before I got my first doll, which was Gabby. So this owner also had a Dreaming Liché, and I remember really liking her Dreaming Liché, her Breakaway, and her Hyul, because I guess that was the vibe that I was really into at that time. I remember liking Uhui and Hyul's chubby cheeks. Like, I know I mentioned I don't like chubby cheeks, but there's something slightly different about the way their cheeks are chubby. I think it's the fact that it kind of protrudes out a little, like their face is a bit flat. I don't know how to explain it. So like it's not quite the same chubbiness as like Huisa or Shino or Vian. I guess the highest point of the chubbiness when you see it from a 45-degree angle is at the lips and not at the nose height, if that makes sense. I find that really cute. I really like that kind of chubby chick effect, even back with the sculpts by Yuna, like Krobidor Lens, Krobidor Yonho. What were the other sculpts that Yuna sculpted that I really liked last time? The Lutz Kian sculpt, which interestingly enough is not where I got my username from. I got my username from a book first, before I realized that there was a Lutz Kian sculpt. And the Lutz Bliss sculpt, which yeah, actually I've sold Dennis now because I guess it doesn't quite fit in with my vibe, the vibe of my crew right now. But I remember I really, really like this like chubby chickness, and the fact they have small eyes. Dreaming eyes is really, really cute. So Uhui is going into B along with Hahwa, and Hyul is going to A. Okay, moving on. Rusi. So Rusi is one of the rare instances where I do think a boyish, chubby chick, big-eyed boy is kind of cute. I think he has a very interesting lip shape. again, I guess compared to the more recent Switch sculpts, I don't like him nearly as much, but I would say that out of all the big-eyed, chubby chick boyish looks, I like Rusi the best. I'm probably gonna put him in C. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in C. So next, can't pronounce his name properly. Soseo. Okay, I can't pronounce it the Korean way, so I'm just gonna do it how I usually do his Soseo. That's what I say when I talk to my friends about this doll. So my two doll friends actually do own. Well, one of them currently still owns a Soseo, and then one of them used to own one. So I've seen him in person, and like there was a doll owner in Singapore, MK or Lipslock, who has a Soseo that she really liked. She posted a lot of pictures of him, and I think a lot of my impression of Soseo was like first influenced by that. And I think over the years he's just proven to be like a really versatile sculpt, and yeah, he just pulls off a lot of looks. So I don't know how he ranks in terms of best selling, but I personally do kind of see him a bit as like he's one of the more recognizable dolls that I definitely remember when I think about Switch, is what I'll say. And I do think he's very versatile, so B or A? I'm gonna put him in B, just because I don't want to own one myself. Like, there are other sculpts that are somewhat similar looking to him that I would rather have, or like I already have. But I would say like he is a very representative look of Switch. Like, when I think of Switch, he's definitely one of the dolls that come to mind. Ancy has sleeping eyes, dreaming eyes, I'll give him that. Again, with the chubby boyish look, he doesn't rank that highly for me, so I'm just gonna put him in D. Because, I don't know, I do find him slightly cuter than the bunch in F and E. Also, can I say that like all the pictures that Switch has are really appealing. When I was compiling this, I was just like, oh my gosh, these dolls look so nice in the promo pictures. Like, I get it, because the last time I did the ranking video, it was for CP Delf, and that was like a much older aesthetic. But yeah, I would say like I personally really like the promo pics of Switch, especially in the older pictures, but I think that's just because the older pictures are kind of styled a bit more similarly, whereas the more recent photos, they have a bit more of a range of artists doing the face-ups. That's why it looks a bit more different. But I really like the soft aesthetic. I can't quite describe it, but I think just looking at the pictures, you kind of get a certain vibe. I really like the vibe. And I think that's what a lot of people like as well. Anyway, moving on, Ryun. So Ryun, the first doll that I think of when I think of Ryun is Bulgogi's boy. So I've followed Bulgogi for many years, since the Vian art era, and yeah, I guess my impression of Ryun is like very largely shaped by her doll. And he's cute in her pictures, but I find him cute in other people's pictures, but I won't want to own him. I do think he has an interesting nose and lips. But I guess he's still a bit more of a younger looking boy. I'm gonna put him like in C. Mara. Okay, so this is the one that is actually a dreaming version of somebody. So I think Mara is a dreaming version of Rusi. And for once, I like Rusi more than the dreaming version. So Mara's going in to D tier. I think this is one of the few cases where I like the open-eyed version more than the Dreaming Eye version. Soha. Soha is Dreaming Soseo. I do like him slightly better than Soseo, but I think he is still in B tier, but yeah, he's still in B tier. I don't know whether I'm being too tough, because no dolls are going to A and S at the moment. Kiri. Okay, the next one is Kiri. So Kiri, I'm not a fan of this picture of Kiri. I don't actually remember what this doll looks like. I don't think I was really paying attention back when he first came out. Yeah, I don't particularly fancy Kiri, so unfortunately F tier. Moving on, Uhui. Okay, so in general, I like most of the redone versions of the dolls. So like Uhui, not Uhui, but like Ajeong C, or like, well, no, I don't like all of the redone versions. Okay, I guess it's not fair. I think it's not a fair comparison. I don't like all of the redone versions, but because I like the original Uhui quite a fair bit, I actually don't like Uhui nearly as much. I still think he's cute, but then like, because he doesn't have that chubby cheek at the lip area, Uhui to me is not as cute as Uhui, so I think he's going into C. Next, Taeheo. Taeheo is yeah, I'm not pronouncing his name right. I have problems pronouncing the EO sound in Korean. Taeheo is one of the dolls that I thought looked really, really cool in the promo pics, but I didn't really like him nearly as much in the owner pictures. So I think when he first came out, I had the impression that he's kind of like an older, cooler brother to like Soseo. I still kind of have that impression, especially looking at the promo pics again. But somehow when he's in owner pics, I don't find him looking nearly as cool as the promo pics. I don't know what's the difference, but like or maybe I just haven't seen anyone's Taeheo being that cool. But somehow I feel like Soseo shines in owner pictures, but then like Taeheo, I still find the promo pics of him much nicer than the owner pictures. So like, I'm just gonna put him in C, because I guess he has potential in his promo pics, but I just never really found, yeah, I never really found him particularly appealing in the owner pictures, but his promo pics are really, really good. So, yeah. Seolrok. The thing with Seolrok is I don't really like his promo pics that much. I think because he's styled like in a school uniform, so he has a schoolboy look, and he's also very big-eyed. I didn't find him that appealing. I think he does have certain potential because of his open mouth, but I do think the other versions of Seolrok are nicer. Yeah, so I feel like Seolrok is a sculpt that has more potential than just the initial styling. I don't particularly fancy the original initial styling. I'm gonna put him in C. I think the nicest version of Seolrok, which will come up later, is the Holy version, which Genki Yankee has, and I find her Holy Seolrok really, really cute. So I suppose the more appropriate word would be really, really cool. I've seen him a few times in doll meets and stuff like that, so he's changed my impression of Seolrok, but I used to think that it's just a very boyish sculpt. To be fair, hers is a Holy Seolrok who has a slightly lower, like dreamier eyes, and I think the teeth parts are slightly different. I can't remember what's the exact difference though. That has helped me improve my impression of Seolrok, but I still don't particularly fancy the boyish look. Next one, Sohwa. Basically Scarface Soseo. Somebody was saying, I think it was Genki Yankee, was telling me that like when a doll gets popular enough, they get a Scarface version. And I don't know if this is, I feel like this is true, anecdotally, yes, anecdotally, but I I mean, if it's true, then it does mean that Soseo is really popular, and that's why he has a Scarface version. Recently, Ipo has a Scarface Leonard, which again, you know, shows how popular Leonard is as a sculpt. And also, like, I think it's maybe residue from Scarface Resina and Scarface Cecil, whatever. Is it Cecil? I actually have no idea how to pronounce his name. But these were the dolls from Vogue's originally who had Scarfaces, and I remember the Scarface were very sought after. And back in the days, they are really cool. I think they're still really cool now, but like they were really cool back in the days when I first was a doll owner. And they were really, really expensive, the Scarface versions, even more so than the original, like Resner and Cecil. Yeah, so I remember there has always been like this. I don't know whether I suppose they set a precedent for this like whole Scarface trend, and also like most of the dolls' scar eye is on the right side for some reason. Apple House Leonard has it on the left side, but most dolls have it on the right side, and that was the original side that all the Scarface Vogues had. Anyway, that's just a bit of like random doll history, but like I don't know is it from like that nostalgia, but like every time there's a Scarface, it's just kind of cool. He ranks a bit higher than a Soseo, but he's still kind of in B tier, I would say, for me. So yeah, he's going into B. Okay, next we have Shiho. So I think by now, at this point in the video, you know that this is not my vibe. He is a bit cuter than the rest, and I think the fact that he was released quite a long time ago, but he is still currently a monthly doll, probably says something about his appeal. I would say he's kind of like C tier for me. Like, he's cute, but I won't want to own one. Yiho. Yiho is a sculpt that I honestly didn't really know about until I saw Laminar Flow's dolls. So, was it Laminar Flows or was it DK? It's one of theirs. I can't remember at this point in time, but I'll put in a picture. So, I didn't think much about Yiho back then, but I remember going to search up this sculpt because I saw one of the owner pictures. And then I was like, hey, this is definitely a Switch doll. Because, you know, I think Switch dolls have a very recognizable vibe about them. There's a certain similarity across like their features, I would say, even though they are kind of different. When I see a Switch sculpt, I know that it's from Switch. Anyway, so I was like, which of this Switch sculpt is this, right? And then I read the description and I went up to search Yiho, and I was like, oh, he looks like this. And I think whenever the promo pics are of like a schoolboy in uniform, I just kind of pass it over. So I feel like Yiho is one of the hidden gems. Unfortunately, he's not available nowadays. I like him a bit more than Shiho. I think he's gonna go into B. But anyway, he's like, I think he was only released for a very short time. I don't think there's a lot of him around. Sohwa, yay! Okay, so this is like the Sohwa Wason, the period when they first came out. I personally own a Sohwa, a Wason, and I own 2 Ryuzos. So the fact that I own these dolls means that they rank quite high for me, right? But I think Sohwa is one of the sculpts that like I really like his nose and his lips and his eyes, and I just can't explain why. So anyway, he's going in to S tier. I really like him even back in the promo pics in the past. It's just that like I think at that time my crew was mostly SD13 boys, and I felt that he didn't really fit in with my crew at that point in time. Yeah, but like nowadays, I think he does. I think there has been a significant change in my crew since back then. Like back then, my crew was like Sion, my Migi Miho was still around. I had like a Migi Gina, a Migi Ryu, Cynical Ryu. I had like Elfdoll Vivian, as a girl, I had like Zhao Muse. Anyway, I'll just put a picture. But anyway, I think at that point in time, he didn't fit the vibe of my crew. Like in general, Switch at that time didn't fit the vibe of my crew. But in the more recent years, I really find Switch like a company that I really, really like the overall vibe and the sculpting. I like most of the stuff, it's just that, you know, I have limited space and money, and there's no reason for me to own so many of them, so I don't. I kind of felt this way with Mickey Doll, in like 2012 period, around 2012, I really, really liked Mickey Doll, and it was kind of like the same vibe of like, I love every sculpt that came out during that time, and if I could, and if I had the space and the time and the money, I would own every of them. That was kind of how I felt with Mickey Doll back in 2012, and kind of how I feel with Switch in the more recent years. Of course, I don't really need so many dolls, so I don't have to own all of them, but I feel like they all have great potential. I do have a bit more of a hit and miss with the most recent Switch sculpts. But I think that's just because Switch is branching into like various types of looks, some of which maybe I have not come to appreciate. It's just like, I feel like maybe I just don't appreciate them yet, because many years ago when Switch first released all the sculpts that I'm talking about now, I didn't really particularly appreciate them then, and like, I'm coming to appreciate them now, so I feel like maybe that is what will happen with the rest of the sculpts, like the more recent Switch release.